Welcome to Forensic Friday, where I tell you one true crime case that was solved using forensic science, all while doing, that's right, my makeup. Today's video will be featuring the new Colourpop Little Ray of Sunshine collection. I have the palette and one of the lip glosses here that I will be using. If you love true crime and makeup, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my future episodes. I'm going to be starting out with the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Mattifying Primer. 33-year-old Jennifer Corbin's dream was to marry a successful man and have a beautiful family. Her dreams came true when she met a man named Dr. Bart Corbin. He was a dentist and they had 4 children together. 7 years into their marriage, they started to have some serious problems. Now I'm gonna go in with my Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Hydrating Longwear Foundation. Bart discovered an email from a lover named Chris. I forgot to put on concealer, so I'm just gonna do it right now. I'm gonna go in with my Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Concealer. Bart and Jennifer was on their way home from Jennifer's parents' place. They had just celebrated Thanksgiving. They had Thanksgiving dinner and they stopped at a gas station. This is when Bart decided to snoop through Jennifer's purse. When Jennifer came back to the car, Bart was so upset and he confronted Jennifer about the email that he found in her purse. They argued all the way back home. It escalated to the point where Bart allegedly slapped Jennifer. I think they both knew at this point it had gone too far and the relationship was pretty much done. At that point, Jennifer started to plan her divorce from Bart. But Jennifer wasn't the only one having an affair. Apparently, Bart also was having an affair with one of his assistants, his dental assistant. The couple eventually separated and filed for divorce, although they were still going through some marital counseling at the time. Now I'm gonna go in with my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. On December 4th, 2004, the Corbin's 7-year-old son found his mother dead in her bedroom with a .38 caliber pistol laying near her. There was blood dripping from her nose. The police initially thought it may be suicide, but there was no suicide note left behind. The only thing that they found was a copy of Jennifer's divorce papers laying underneath her body. So now I'm just going to take a little bit of my Airspun loose face powder. Because of the way the crime scene was set up, police felt that the evidence appeared consistent with that of a suicide. When investigators spoke to Bart, he had an alibi for that night. He was actually at a bar with his friends, about 20 to 30 minutes away. Credit card records show that 14 beers had been bought between the 3 men. So Bart claims that from there he drove one of his friends home and spent the night at his brother's house. Now I'm just gonna go into my e.l.f. Lock-On Liner Brow Cream in the shade Espresso. Bart's brother actually confirmed that he did in fact spend the night at his home. Authorities start to retrace Jennifer's steps leading up to the night of her death. Police found that Jennifer was on the phone and internet with her lover Chris that night. Phone records corroborated that she was on the phone until about 1:30 a.m. Then investigators found a bizarre email between her and her lover Chris. In the contents of this email, Jennifer's lover is talking about death and shooting each other while having sex. I don't know. I mean, I want my mind to be blown when I have sex, but I don't want it to be blown out when I have sex. You know what I mean? Now I'm gonna go into the Little Ray of Sunshine palette. The email read, Jennifer, would you take a revolver and load 1 bullet into it? Place it to my forehead and pull the trigger as we have sex. Do you have that in you, Jennifer? Investigators started to suspect more to Jennifer's death. Medical examiners noticed that the bullet entry was through the back of the head behind the right ear. This was very uncommon for most suicide cases, and they just immediately thought something was off. Also, the placement of the gun was inconsistent with the position of the body. They believe that if Jennifer had shot herself in the back of the head, her arm and the gun would have actually fallen backwards, not forward, tucked underneath the blankets. Also, there was no blood splatter on Jennifer's hand or gun residue, which is pretty much impossible. If she shot herself, she would have some gun residue on her hands or at least blood splatter. Police ruled Jennifer's death a homicide, but what they didn't know was who would have a motive to kill Jennifer. So investigators took a closer look at Jennifer's lover, Chris. Phone records confirmed that on the night of Jennifer's death, Chris was actually in St. Joseph's, Missouri, 800 miles away from Jennifer's home, and he was eliminated. They also took another look at Bart, Jennifer's ex-husband. He had an alibi that night, as we know. The credit card records show that he was at a bar. But then Jennifer's friends came forward with a key piece of information. Bart's old girlfriend from dental school, Dolly, was also found dead in her apartment, shot with a .38 caliber pistol. And although police ruled her death a suicide, her parents say that they knew from the jump that their daughter, Dolly, would never commit suicide. Her parents say that Bart stalked and harassed Dolly after she broke up with him. He even broke into her apartment. A few months later, Dolly was found dead. What were the chances that Bart Corbin's two love interests would end up dead the same exact way with a .38 caliber pistol? Now I'm gonna take the Colourpop gel eyeliner in the shade Mr. Bing. At the time of Dolly's death, there was no trained blood spatter analyst on her case. So they reopened her case and found her manner of death to be consistent with that of Jennifer. She was also shot in the back of the head over the right ear. There was no blood spatter on her hands, and there was no gunpowder residue at all either. So now I'm gonna go in with the Colourpop Supernova eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Hard to Impress. This proved that Dolly's hands were actually by her sides when she was shot. Now I'm gonna pop on these Ardell Demi 120 lashes. Dolly was killed with her own .38 caliber pistol that she kept in her apartment for protection. Bart was now facing 2 counts of murder instead of the 1 for Jennifer. I'm gonna be using the WetNWild Color Icon blush in the shade Mellow Wine. These had just one problem: Bart's alibi. Next, I'm gonna go into my WetNWild MegaGlo highlighting powder, and this is in the shade Crown of Canopy. Yeah. Bart claimed that he went over to his brother's house to spend the night at 1 a.m. But phone records show that Bart made a call at 1:58 a.m. This phone call showed his location. Cell phone towers pinged near Bart's house, not his brother's house. When police checked who Bart was calling, it was his marriage counselor. He left a message on their answering machine saying that he and Jennifer would not make their appointment the following day. Bart's neighbor reported hearing his car pull into the driveway about 1:30 a.m. in the morning. He said he recognized the sound of the truck because he had heard Bart pull into the driveway so many times that he just knew the sound of Bart's truck, although he didn't actually see Bart pull into the driveway. Police learned that Bart had gotten his gun from a guy named Richard Wilson. Oddly enough, Richard worked for Bart's father many years. I'm gonna go into the Ultra Glossy lip gloss from this collection, and it is called Sun Soaked. Richard, when questioned, denied everything. But investigators found evidence that Bart called Richard on the night of Jennifer's death. The call came in on his cell phone just before Jennifer's death. Finally, Richard decided to cooperate and told police everything. He told police that he gave the gun to Bart, but he had no idea what Bart was going to actually do with the weapon. Police believe Bart shot Jennifer and positioned her body to look like a suicide. Then he drove to his brother's house to spend the night. All the mistakes he made to cover his tracks in Jennifer's murder, he made the same exact mistakes 14 years earlier with his ex-girlfriend Dolly's murder. The circumstantial evidence was pretty strong. What Bart didn't know, but was about to find out, was that Chris was actually a woman, not a man. In order to avoid the death penalty, Dr. Bart Corbin pled guilty to both murders. Thanks to forensic science and some good police work, Bart Corbin was convicted of both murders and is serving concurrent life sentences. What do you guys think about this case and my makeup look? Please let me know in the comments down below, and I will see you guys next week with another Forensic Friday episode. Bye!